So hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm also I'm a member of the Nith EcoBoosters, and I am so happy to be part of this group of organizations within Waterloo Region, doing interviews with local candidates, and I'm helping Betsy with the Kitchener-Conestoga candidate today, Karen. And so I have some questions for you, Karen.
Of course.
We will be asking these exact same questions to all of the candidates that we've talked to across the whole region. So number one is, all 8 municipal governments have committed to the Transform WR strategy to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050, with a 50% reduction by 2030. How will you, as a local representative, help our communities and businesses to achieve this goal?
Thank you. And it's such a great question. And it's such a great initiative to have all of these groups coming together to form this kind of coalition, if you will, to support the environment and our general well-being and health. So, so appreciative of your time today and interviewing me. So the first thing I want to say is related to the party's plans. The NDP have a Green New Democratic Deal, which has been out for over a year now, with their sustainable yet ambitious climate targets and strategies in order to implement them. The one thing I will say that the goal of the Green New Democratic Deal is to reach a net zero emission by 2050. So that is the goal, and the steps in place within the plan to achieve that, as well, reduce levels to at least 50% by 2030, which is in alignment with the Transform WR initiatives, as well as broader international targets with the IPCC and the ambitious aspects of the Paris Agreement. So that's embedded within the general platform of the party, but more specifically the Green New Democratic Deal. And something that is really foundational to the NDP is working in collaboration with groups like this one, with other forms of government, other levels of government, to achieve these goals. Something that I know, and I'm really proud to be part of the deal, is that the best savings on energy and electricity and greenhouse gases is not using energy in the first place. So it's about conserving. And that's a big part of the deal, is providing energy efficient building retrofit program to families and businesses so that they are using less, spending less money on energy, but also it's supporting the initiatives to lower greenhouse gas emissions. Yes.
Thank you, Karen. We're at our limit for time.
Oh, okay. Question. Thank you.
So our next question is, how will your party meet the target of protecting 30% of Ontario's lands and waters by 2030, in keeping with Canada's international commitments?
Super. This is really important to me as well. And that's what I'm hearing people, we don't want more sprawl. They don't want more highways. They don't want more large subdivisions with large homes. So it's about preserving the farmland, the natural spaces, and the water that we do have. Once we pave over it, it's gone forever, right? So that's at the foundation of what I want to make sure is happening as well locally. We've seen some recent plans that would potentially, or had the potential to, pave over really valuable farmland. And in Waterloo Region, the farmland here is extremely profitable, actually. And so paving over is not something that we want to consider. So we want to expand the greenbelt, expand access to parks and green spaces across Ontario. And as far as the water, I know that there were some cuts to conservation authorities who are kind of the stewards and protectors of the waters, and they have become very limited on what they can do, and that's on the proactive side and the reactive side. So being proactive about preserving the water, flooding, all of those things have been diminished somewhat with the underfunding that we've seen in the last couple of years under the Ford government, but then also looking ahead to that preservation of the pristine water that we have in the area. We all have safe drinking water, and we need to make sure that we're preserving it.
Thank you so much. The next question is, what will you do to address the need for mixed multi-use housing and walkable communities? and that new home construction is done sustainably and affordably.
Thank you. This is going fast. I love it. One of the things that prevents the type of housing that we know we need, which is kind of that missing middle, is the exclusionary zoning that prevents that type of housing. So that we need to end exclusionary zoning. We need to work with municipal partners from across the province, but especially locally, the region of Waterloo and with the cities, to provide them the tools so that they can build and have the ability to create homes that fit everyone. Right now, you know, what I'm seeing from the proposals of the Ford government is big highways to big houses that nobody can really afford, and paving over really valuable land in the process. So the first thing is that exclusionary zoning, and also creating the development within the existing boundaries. The region of Waterloo is, you know, holding the line, and we need to maintain that. The Ford government wants to expand those boundaries to build up and build out. And that's not something we're hearing we want in Waterloo Region. It's certainly not something that I'm hearing folks want. And that's the most important thing, is being responsive to the local community. So those are a couple of other things in there, as well as providing opportunities for affordable housing. So there's a number of things that are happening in the housing market that are making housing unattainable for people, but providing that and making space to build that missing middle, as well as eliminating their speculation and vacancy taxes that we need to take a closer look at as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, number 4 is, how will you support sustainable transportation choices with less car dependency and better active transportation and public transit?
This is a really interesting thing to talk about in Kitchener-Conestoga, because we have the portion of Kitchener that's in the city that has fairly regular bus services, public transportation services, but out in the townships, it's very limited. And right now, the Liberals are proposing a buck a ride. What I've learned about that is that won't improve services and improve how regular public transportation is for people that live more out in the rural areas. The NDP has a plan to provide 50% of net operating costs to municipalities so that they have options to improve services, improve how often public transportation is running. I mean, the buck a ride might work really well in a core area where there is regular service already, but for Kitchener-Conestoga, that doesn't make sense. And so what we need to do is provide regular services, reliable services, so that people can leave the car at home or don't even need a car in the first place and can switch to public transportation in a way that makes sense, that fits their schedule, that it's reliable, and so on. So
yes, thank you so much.
okay.
And our 5th question is, how will your party protect farmland and address the negative ecological effects of aggregate extraction?
Great question, and a very important one for Wilmot Township in particular, but all of Waterloo Region. So right now we have beautiful farmland and beautiful natural spaces that we need to protect, as well as the water and the groundwater underneath. And the so that is really, really important and key to understanding where we are in this moment in Waterloo Region. We do need to work with farmers, with Indigenous peoples, with people in the rural community to protect those natural spaces. So again, back to, you know, not paving over farmland, and the need for then those aggregates becomes less, right? There's other things with the mining sector in particular that needs to be regulated and understood in a different way. But really, it's about holding that line and protecting the land that we have, so that we aren't getting to a place where we're fighting for farmland, fighting for food, fighting for safe and healthy water, because we know all of those things starts to impact the other parts of our life. So aggregate mining leads to roads, leads to contamination in some cases, leads to a lack of safe drinking water. It's all impacted collectively. If I'm getting myself across well, I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is it's all connected, and they can't be looked at in isolation. We need to look at them in a deep, meaningful way and consult with the people in the community so that they have their say as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And then our last question, our last question is BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and women are disproportionately exposed to environmental hazards such as landfills and industrial pollution. How will you and your party address the environmental injustices?
I think what's most important is with the Green New Democratic deal in particular, it's about leaving no one behind. It's not about some winning and some losing. It's about making sure that the most vulnerable amongst us are well taken care of. And exactly what you said, Stephanie, is there is environmental racism that is real. There is environmental injustice that is real. And what we see is, as you mentioned, that Indigenous, Black, and racialized people, as well as women, are deeply impacted. Their health is impacted by exposure to toxins. And so we need to ensure that we're protecting that. Now, part of that is one really key part is ensuring that people have clean and safe drinking water. So we know that there are First Nations communities in Ontario that don't have safe drinking water and have been on boil water advisories for some time. And while some people say that that's a federal jurisdiction, it's on all of us to protect everyone in our community, whether they live in Waterloo Region here or whether they live in a part of Northern Ontario, whether they live on a reservation, it doesn't matter. It's on all of us to ensure that everybody, like, it's 2022, there should be no one that is needing to boil their water right now. And so we need to work with Indigenous peoples and to make sure that the strategies are working for them and we're not making solutions that don't work for them without collaborating in a really meaningful way. Nothing
Absolutely.
For us without us. So
yes, thank you, Karen, so much. Thank you for coming out today.
Thank you.
We will be having this video and the other candidates' videos, the ones who have confirmed with us, up on YouTube very shortly.
Okay.
But we appreciate your time and best of luck with the election coming up.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Thanks, Betsy.